We are going to keep on pushing to end tax breaks for companies that ship our jobs overseas and give those tax breaks to companies that create jobs right here in the United States of America. It's the right thing to do.
So reward companies that hire workers here, tax those that do not. Former California Governor Gray Davis says it all sounds good to him. Governor, good to have you. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
There's a lot more active involvement on the part of this administration than even in the past about getting involved in businesses, right? Stimulating those and incentivizing those that it deems help and punishing those that it deems do not. Are you getting a sense of that?
Well, this is an extraordinary time, Neil. We haven't seen anything like this since the Great Depression. And I think John Kennedy reduced capital gains tax when he was president. And I think what President Obama said last night was right on the money, which is let's get people working again. Let's give a job tax credit to small business if they'll hire. Let's allow more lending to small business by giving $30 billion to community banks to lend to small business. Let's eliminate capital gains for people who want to invest in small business. I mean, small business hires more than half the people in this country, and in every recession, they're the first one to hire. So I think that makes sense.
But it's also going to be penny wise, pound foolish, right? Because if you are, there's another way to read that if you're a multinational, you're expanding abroad, so you hire more workers abroad, but it's good for the mothership back in the U.S., you could be penalized by this.
I think every country has a right to prefer its domestic workers to the workers in other countries.
No, I just want to be clear. You're absolutely right. That's fine. But I'm just saying, the multinational that wants to expand abroad to take advantage of opportunity, let's say in Asia or in the growing African continent, and they expand and hire thousands abroad, and they're still based in the United States, and it's boosting their bottom line in the United States and the potential for more hiring in the United States. They're being penalized in doing that and hurting themselves.
And you have to weigh that, Neil, against the 17% of America that can't get full-time employment.
But they're not weighing that, Governor. You see what I'm saying? The administration's fairly black and white on this issue.
No, they have weighed it, and they've decided right now in 2010, the emphasis has to be in getting Americans back to work, get them off the couches, get them from being consumers of tax resources through unemployment insurance to taxpayers and maybe consumers. That's a good trade-off. And if that means we can't provide the same tax incentives for multinationals to expand in India or China or Latin America, so be it. Because our first job is to put Americans back to work. 2, 3 years, 4 years down the road, maybe we can level the playing field.
Whoever hires a worker based on a tax incentive, though, right?
I think you know, I mean, you started a new venture, Fox Business Channel. I think you know that new businesses, small businesses, sometimes are on the verge of hiring, and a tax break will make the difference. If it doesn't make the difference, the government is not spending any money. But I think we ought to do everything humanly possible to encourage small business, and for my sake, large business as well.
But you have to provide the right environment. You know, I mean, we can get into economics and finance and all here, but you have to provide the right environment, and you have to make it an environment where businesses and business leaders feel encouraged to hire and expand. And what a lot of them see, not across the board, Governor, you're right, but a lot of them who come on this show and talk to me, right or left, conservative or liberal, well, there's more regulation. There's more treating us as if we're all greedy fat cat bastards. More regulation. There's more of policing of how much we pay our people and ourselves. And whether we're on TARP or not on TARP. Whether we've taken TARP and paid it back or not taken TARP and paid it back. And there's a collective view among these guys that, fairly or not, Governor, this administration just doesn't like them.
Well, I know how great it feels when you're liked, and I know when it feels not to be liked. Trust me. So I don't want to minimize that.
Right.
But let me just say this to you: I think President Obama has struck the right balance. He's not saying to the big banks, for example, you can't pay whatever bonuses you feel are right, but he is saying we don't want big banks to be incentivized to take short-term risks. So they get a big bonus. They walk out of the business 2 or 3 years later, and 5 years later, the shareholders take a big hit, and then the American taxpayers have to come in and bail them out. I think he's totally right on that.
You just see more reason than he. I don't know. It could be me. Governor, it's always good seeing you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Maybe it's being out of office, Neil. You get a better perspective on things.
I don't know. You're pretty reasoned in office. Governor, good seeing you.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you, Neil.
well, if only he could create jobs as quickly as he says jobs, then I guess we wouldn't have to worry about jobs. But we do.